Radio Derby.
Yes, it is. Becky Measures in for Twiggy today here on BBC Radio Derby. Again, I got stuck there a little bit, didn't I? At 9 minutes past 8. Now, have you heard about the Derby Fireboat? Well, it's a boat that went up and down the River Derwent during the Second World War, putting out fires. Well, later today, volunteers from the Derby and Sandiacre Canal Trust will be exploring the river alongside locally based heritage organisation MSDS to try and find its remains. Mike Wingfields from the Derby and Sandiacre Canal Trust and Alison James is from MSDS, and they are both with me right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Mike, let's come to you first then. Tell me about this boat, please.
Okay, well, I'm part of an organisation called the Derby and Sandiacre Canal Trust, and our aim is to bring the canal, the original 18th century canal, into Derby, and in doing so, introduce a waterfront into the city centre. As part of that, a couple of years ago, we introduced the Derby Riverboat, and as part of as we were going up and down the river, one of the things that we saw underneath the water, quite deep underneath the water, was the outline of a boat. And then somebody else told us that there used to be some fireboats operating on the River Derwent. So some time went by, and then at the Furthest from the Sea festival a couple of years ago, we met MSDS and learnt about their work, which is normally a lot more adventurous than this, going down to the depths of the sea. And we thought it'd be great if we could partner up and see if we can find this fireboat. And yeah.
Fantastic. And let's bring you in then, Alison, from MSDS. I mean, this must be quite exciting for you guys.
It really, really is. I mean, I'm a maritime archaeologist. We're based just outside Derby, near Belper, and we spend our entire life working around the coast on lots and lots of different projects. But over the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of work to bring our maritime archaeology work inland through sort of events and sort of school sessions and things like that. But this is the first time that we've actually been able to go underwater and do some actual underwater archaeology in the place where we live. So actually, we're really excited about it.
I can imagine that you are. Well, if you do find it, how confident are you of finding it, Mike?
Well, we've seen something under the water.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know exactly what it is. And we have done one trip before where it confirmed there was something under the water. So we're confident of finding something. It would be good if there's confirmation that it is the fireboat. We don't know what it's called, actually. We don't know what the name of the boat was called. It would be good if we found a nameplate or something, but that's probably a bit too much to hope for.
What do we know about the boat? Do you know much about this boat, Alison?
Well, we know the boat was commissioned in August of 1940. It was donated by a chap called Mr. Clark. He was a lecturer at Derby Technical College, and he converted it from an old lifeboat and used it for pleasure cruising before donating it to the local fire service in 1940. We know a little bit about the size of it. We know a little bit about the equipment that was on it to power the hose. But other than that, we know very little. And actually, if it's okay, it'd be really nice to sort of reach out to anyone listening, because I think the information that we need about this fireboat, such as its name, perhaps photos, could be sat in people's family records at home. And we would really love to hear from them if they know any more about it.
Wouldn't it be interesting if you could find somebody that's, grandparent or whatever worked on it, or, had a relative that had a connection with it, Mike?
Oh, yeah, or someone that was rescued by it as well. That would be quite exciting.
How did it work? Because you're saying, obviously, it went up and down putting the fires out, but surely that would only work if you were next to the river.
Yeah, well, during World War II, as I understand it, there was a lot of factories next to the river. So during the Blitz, they would have had incendiary devices dropped on them. They would have caught fire. And the idea of the fireboat was that you've got this huge supply of water, so you can pump water out of the river and spray it directly at the factory. And it must have been successful, I think, because in 1941, I don't know whether the same guy, but they got a second fireboat. So it must have been that would.
Yeah.
It must have been useful, the first one. Yeah.
I was going to say, you wouldn't get another one if the first one wasn't useful, would you? I
I
mean,
wouldn't have thought so.
so what? Going back to this, then, right? Just to clarify, how do you know one of them sank?
We don't. I think there. So we know there's something under the water, and there's only a few different things that could be. But looking at the age of it, we think it's got to be one of those boats because
Right.
there's very few other boats it could be, really.
Right. Okay. So that's the sort of narrowing. I'm getting excited for you. I'm trying to sort of piece all this together. And if it hasn't got a name, I feel like we're going to have to name it when you've found it.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So right, how right? Come on, because I'm trying to get into to me all kind of. I've heard about like archaeology on land, right?
Yeah.
Very rarely do we see it sort of underwater, and especially like you just said, Alison, as well, inland on our doorstep. So if you find this, then you're going to send some cameras down, aren't you, to have a little look round? How do you go about bringing it back up?
Wow, that's a whole different sort of story, and whether it probably will never be brought back up. If you think of the Mary Rose down in Portsmouth, the cost of conservation is huge. However, if we know it's there, we can record it. This is quite a significant site for Derby if it is there, and at that point, then we can have conversations with Historic England, who manage sort of our heritage assets around the country, because actually it might be need legal protection in future. But that's further down the line. So for now, it's very much about going out with our remotely operated vehicle, getting out in the water and getting some eyes on it.
Absolutely. So how many people are going to be going down there today? Is there a big team of you? Do these things take a lot of tech to get down there? I'm just seeing somebody with like a giant remote control, right? Like a boat, right? That next minute is going to sink, and then you're all watching from cameras on the outside.
The actual remotely operated vehicle is relatively small. It can be lifted by one person. We'll have two operators down there. It's operated by almost a gaming control. So think of an Xbox controller on the surface. It's very much like if you imagine a drone on land, it's that for underwater. Right.
Well, this is extremely exciting. When will we know? What time do you set out? Can people come down and watch? What's the plan, Mike?
Well, it's in a place at the river that we don't really want the public getting into difficulty around there. So watch us from a distance if you're going to watch us.
Yeah.
We're going to set out on Outram, the Derby Riverboat, about 9:45, something like that, I think, and then we'll get to the place where we need to get to, and then launch Alison's submarine off the back deck.
Submarine drone, and down it goes. Well, listen, I'm excited for you, right? I think everybody's excited. I know producer Glenifer here is very excited by this as well. So will you let us know how you get on?
We will.
Definitely.
Yeah, wonderful to talk to the pair of you. That is Mike Wingfield from the Derby and Sandiacre Canal Trust, and Alison James, who is from MSDS.